Hi everybody, welcome to the Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today I'm joined by John Hutchinson, who is at GSK, and Darren Cawkill from Apollo Therapeutics. And today they're representing ELRIG because they are the co-chairs or co-directors of this year's Research and Innovation event, which is running next week virtually on the 23rd and 24th of February. So, John, Darren, lovely to meet you. How are you both?
Very well, thanks. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Good, thanks for as well.
Great to meet you, gentlemen. Look, before we start talking about the event which is coming up next week, I've been running a series with lots of opinion leaders in life science to get their feedback on 2020 and looking at some of the trends for 2021. And as I've got you two here representing two different areas within life science, I thought I'd take this opportunity to sort of get your views as well. So my first question is, this is to both of you, maybe John, you might want to answer first, but how would you describe 2020 in one word? And why?
Oh gosh, in one word. Let my imagination run wild here. How about different? You know why? It's obviously been very challenging, but I don't think it's been a complete disaster at a professional level. It's just been, a whole load of different challenges. So yeah, I guess that's what occurs to me.
Fantastic, John. What about you, Darren?
One word. Let's go for eye-opening. That's one word. If you put a hyphen in the middle, eye-opening.
All right, and looking back at last year, well, actually, before we do that, because I didn't get people to, could you just explain, one of you, if you don't mind, what ELRIG actually is? Because there'll be people watching this who've not heard of ELRIG before. So, when you just a quick overview of ELRIG and sort of describe ELRIG for the viewers? Who would like to do that?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off on that one. I'm sure Darren will fill in the gaps, but yeah, it's always good to bust the acronym, isn't it? So ELRIG, it's the European Laboratory Research and Innovation Group. That's what it stands for. And it's a UK-based not-for-profit organisation that serves the life sciences and the drug discovery communities. So it's basically about bringing those communities together, sharing knowledge on a kind of open access basis. It also brings in vendors to the life sciences community, so it kind of acts as a bridge between the vendors and the wider community.
Great. And Darren, would you have anything to add to that at all?
I think one thing to add is that the majority of people involved with ELRIG, of which there are many, actually volunteer. So it's kind of people who are interested in bringing this science and sharing this science together. We do it because we want to do it, because we're volunteering. We're not paid by ELRIG.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. So sorry for jumping in there, because I just realized we're going to start talking about how it's impacted ELRIG, but people may not understand who ELRIG actually are. So looking back at 2020 then, how has the pandemic impacted ELRIG, but also from your perspectives, how do you think it's impacted life sciences, and what learnings could we get out of 2020? Who would like to sort of start off on that one?
Let's alternate. I'll pass the baton to Darren.
2020, how did 2020 impact ELRIG? Yeah, so I guess an interesting year really for talking about from the perspective of John and I, because we had obviously the major thing that ELRIG does is organise conferences.
Yep.
And clearly the conference field has been massively impacted through 2020. Everybody knows that, and still now in 2021. So the Research and Innovation Conference we're running next week, we had organised actually for 2021. We had everything set up. We had tracks identified. We had speakers identified, topics, chairs, and it was scheduled for, when was it, John? February.
It was March
February last year.
No, it was a little bit. It was a bit later, March, April last year in Oxford.
So really was the time that the pandemic hit the UK, and it quickly became clear we were not going to be able to proceed with this. So actually, the original meeting was postponed, and obviously the impact on ELRIG continued throughout the rest of the year. ELRIG has a very large drug discovery conference, which always happens after the summer. I think at the time which we postponed the R&I meeting in March, April time, at that point in time, I guess we all hoped that post-summer we would be able to run the big drug discovery conference, but clearly as the summer panned out, that was never going to happen. And we're still impacted now. So the Research and Innovation Conference that we organised for last March April time is now going to run next week in February as a virtual event. So, I mean, it's been one of continual change and figuring out new ways of working, which I guess is a bit of a blueprint for how most of us have coped in lots of different ways.
Sure. And John, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I guess it's just to say it's all, the virtual format's all very new to us. I mean, the ELRIG team did a fantastic job of building that platform pretty much from scratch in preparation for the main discovery event in October that Darren mentioned last year, and that all went very smoothly. So we hope we're in a very good position now for things happening next week. I guess also just to mention that whereas the drug discovery meeting primarily had pre-recorded talks, we think the learnings from that were so robust, if you like, that we've actually gone for live talks next week. So the event next week will be exactly the same format as the originally planned face-to-face event: 2 days, 4 tracks, live speakers. So the technology's really come to the fore here.
Well, that's really good. I mean, I know I attended last year's event, and it was a very good event, given it was a virtual one. And I have the pleasure, if you like, of visiting lots of virtual events from lots of different organisers almost every week. And I have to say, and I'm not just saying because I'm talking to you guys, that the event, the platform was very good in terms of engagement and in terms of what you could get out of it in terms of networking with other people, which I think is a big factor for most of conferences, aren't they? Because it's not just the talks that you want, which you can have any time really as a webinar if you want, but it's actually getting that networking opportunity and engaging with people is the big thing with a lot of these events, isn't it?
No, exactly. If the platform takes some steps towards actually capturing that aspect of a face-to-face meeting, then it's really succeeded.
Right. So, I mean, looking forward to 2021, I know you've got quite an extensive program. So, what are ELRIG's plans for 2021 in terms of activities that you've got coming up?
So obviously we've got this meeting next week.
Yeah.
There is a schedule of, in total, I think 5 or maybe 6 meetings through the rest of the year.
Right.
I don't have that to hand, but I mean, it's easily
I'll
accessible
put
on,
link,
you'll put that up
worry.
on the link online. Yeah, I mean, obviously the main drug discovery meeting in the autumn, as Darren mentioned, that happened last year, that will happen this year as well. That's sort of preparations well advanced on that now. And there are various smaller meetings happening throughout the course of the year and sort of virtual networking opportunities.
All right. And go on, sorry, you're going to say, Darren.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the schedule now. So actually, we've got 7 events organised through this year, and yeah, so I guess within that there's 2 main big or biggish drug discovery events. One of which is RNI, and a larger DDD event, and then the other events are all focused around more specific technology areas. So,
right.
So yeah, still quite an ambitious plan. 7 meetings through 2021.
Right. Well, I've got obviously you two here now, and you're both from different spectrums of lifetime. So just a question for you. So why should someone, if they're not already a member of ELRIG, join ELRIG, and why, and what makes your events unique, if you like?
Do you want me to go, John? Or
yeah, please do, Darren. Yeah.
I
just saw the blank face.
Yeah, I think so I started off coming across ELRIG probably from the offset actually, but I was never involved with any of the organisation at the beginning. And I was somebody who, in my previous role, I used to work for Pfizer here in the UK, would attend quite a few conferences in this field. And ELRIG quickly became the one event, I think, in the year which I would always attend. Back then, there was not so many meetings. I'm just trying to think why particularly ELRIG did I like, and I think it was probably not one magic ingredient. There was a few things. It was a really good place to network. I think ELRIG has always been a place where there is a good diversity of people there. So it's a place where you can go and you can talk to senior people. It's a place where you can go and you can meet people who are just starting out in their career. It was a really interesting place. I think the focus was always very sharply on the science, and because go back to my point about it being organised by volunteers, I think scientific volunteers, we make sure the content is interesting and relevant, and So I think it's always been a really, really high standard of scientific talk. And because the network has grown now, the ELRIG network is huge and we can attract very good scientific speakers. So I think it's a mixture, actually, a mixture of the networking and a mixture of the high quality science. Those two things blend together and just seem to get the balance right for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely second that. And I think in terms of the sort of diversity of the people who involve themselves in the meeting, it's bringing together people from small biotechs through to large pharma companies, but also very significantly academic groups. So it kind of builds that bridge between industry and academia, or maintains that bridge. You've got, there's a big appeal for what we call ECPs, early career professionals.
Right.
And so I think, we get a lot of student attendees, whether that's sort of, post-grad, postdoctoral folk getting involved as well. And as Darren said, it's a great opportunity for people at that stage in their career to meet those sort of, more senior leaders and opinion shapers in the industry. So yeah, it's a unique opportunity.
And it's deliberate. I'd say it was deliberate as well, actually. So I remember, after the last meeting that John and I organised, we sort of pour over the statistics at the end and see, what kind of person attended. Who did we attract, who didn't we attract, and there's a very proactive element to making sure that we try and attract people from different walks of life at the next meeting.
Brilliant. Well, that leads on quite nicely then to next week's event. So the RNA event is obviously, as I said, starting next Tuesday. That's the 23rd. So what's unique about that event next year, and what are next week's, and what are the highlights that people should be looking out for if they attend?
I mean, should I start just by giving an overview of the sort of field, just for the structure of the meeting? So as we said before, it's over 2 days. Each day, the session will be started by a keynote speaker, and we could talk a bit more about our keynotes later, but they're both sort of very eminent Oxford-based life scientists, geneticists. We then have 2 tracks on each of the 2 days. Maybe it's worth just quickly mentioning those. So the first day, we've got innovations in structural biology and biophysics. I'll be looking at sort of things like cryo-electron microscopy, structural mass spec, kind of cutting edge technologies at the structural biology side of things. And the second session, rise of immunology across discovery. And then on the second day, the 2 sessions seeking novel drug targets for discovery. So that'll be focusing on methodologies for identifying new drug targets. And second session on day 2, innovative medicines. So that's going to be looking specifically at novel antimicrobials, which is obviously a very topical field, novel antimicrobials, but also in the context of the microbiome, the human microbiome. So I think that also promises to be a fascinating session. So we've got a really diverse, but sort of kind of up to the minute relevant set of topics.
Fantastic. And Darren, have you got anything to add to that?
No, probably the only thing I would add is, what makes RNI different to the main ELRIG drug discovery meeting? Well, I guess really the crux of the research and innovation meeting, the RNI meeting, is that we try and identify really emerging topics. So emerging research in disease biology or emerging technology, which we think, in the coming years are really going to impact drug discovery. So it's trying to stand back and think, okay, what will be hot in this field? What will become mainstream in the coming years?
That's really interesting. I mean, and actually that just leads on to my sort of other question about 2021 was, what do you think were or are going to be the hot trends within life science going forward? I mean, it's a 24 or maybe more $1 billion question rather than $1 million question when you talk about life science. But what do you think are the big trends then moving forward within life science?
I mean, I guess one that's sort of, features quite a bit, I think, and has certainly formed the basis of tracks and talks in the last couple of years at this meeting has been AI, artificial intelligence, and how that is sort of gaining traction and really beginning to coalesce around early discovery. So I think that's an ongoing theme. These things are never themes for 1 year, are they? I mean, it's probably more of a kind of 3 to 5 year type of thing, a trend, yeah. I don't know, something else, maybe personalized medicine, possibly. I mean, research and innovation is perhaps more about discovery, our meeting, than sort of clinical aspects. But yeah, I think personalized medicine is something, a trend for the future.
Fantastic.
Interesting to see how these sorts of topics. I think the artificial intelligence, machine learning is a good one. We go from these being sort of a part of an ELRIG meeting, and then a couple of years later we see, well, actually there's a whole conference field just in itself based around artificial intelligence. And you can see how those sorts of topics have really grown.
Fantastic. All right. Well, so the other thing actually we should point out is that if you do want to attend the event next week, it's actually free. Unlike a lot of events where they're going to charge you money to come, it's actually a free to attend event. And I think when I was speaking to Sanj, who was general manager of ELRIG, that you had over 600 registrants already, and that was beginning of the
where
week.
we were a couple of days ago. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure you've grown on that since. So it's obviously a very well attended event. It's a great opportunity. I thank you very much, gentlemen, for giving me that information. It's been really interesting to know more about the event. I look forward to attending the event myself next week as well and finding out more and seeing who's speaking. So all I wish is lots of luck for the rest of the week building up to these, because I'm sure you've got lots of work still to do to make sure the platform's working smoothly and you've got your speakers sorted out, everything. And I know it's going to be a stressful couple of days just making sure from the technology point of view that everything, particularly if you're doing it live, that everything is working smoothly. So I wish you lots of success on the event next week. I hope it goes really, really well for both of you.
Thanks very much. And it's just, a good opportunity, as Darren mentioned before, to thank the ELRIG team, who are fantastic with all of the organisation and logistics, and also our co-chairs. It's not just the two of us. We actually have a pair of chairs per session. There are 8 co-chairs who have been involved in actually shaping each of the sessions. Brilliant.
Well, John, Darren, thank you very much for your time and talking to me today. I'll put the links up to the event and to the ELRIG website so you can find out about the future events as well, all above the video. If you've got any questions for John or Darren, having watched this video, then please feel free to put comments below the video. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them, or they're both on LinkedIn. They'll be tagged so you'll see them, so you can message them directly as well if you've got any questions for next week. But all that's let me say is, gentlemen, good luck with next week's event. I hope it goes really, really well.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thanks, Rizwan.
And I hope you all enjoyed that. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.